We will start our meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Seamus.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item 2, instructions on exiting the building in case of an emergency. Jesse Baker, City Manager.
Thank you. So thank you all for coming tonight. For those of you who are in the room, if there's an emergency during the meeting, you can go out the rear of the auditorium on the left or right-hand side and then turn left or right to get outside. For those joining remotely, thank you for joining us as well. If you would like to speak during the public hearing section of the presentation, if you could use the raise hand feature in the webinar, I will have the chair call on you. Thank you very much. Other than that, we are not monitoring the chat for content. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes in the order of agenda items tonight? I would propose that we eliminate item number 4 because we're going to have that same thing in the next meeting right after this, if that's okay. Great. Okay. Moving on to item 5, which is consider and sign disbursements. We have one document, which is the AP warrant. Can I have a motion to approve the disbursements?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you very much. And is there, item 6, is there any other business for the City Council?
Nope.
Okay, seeing as there's none, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That's also unanimous. So, now on to a second meeting. So, welcome again, everybody, to the South Burlington Steering Committee informational session and public hearing agenda for March 2nd, 2026. Item number 1 is to call to order the steering committee meeting, the public information session, and the public hearing in advance of town meeting day. I don't need a special order for that. I guess I'm doing it myself, right? All right. So, since we also just did the Pledge of Allegiance, we're not going to repeat that. Item 2. Item 3, you already gave instructions for exiting the building, so we don't need to repeat that either. Now, are there any additions, deletions, or changes in the order of agenda items for tonight's meeting by either school board or city council? No? Okay, great. So seeing as there are none, we'll move on to item 5. This is a time for comments and questions from the public that are not related to tonight's agenda. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to make a comment, not about what's on the agenda tonight? Can you come up and come down to the podium? And
I think you can hear me from here.
no, we can't because the people online can't hear you, so. And there's a button at the base that says push on that microphone. It'll turn bright green.
This?
No, the other one, the black one, right? No, the higher one, the tall one. Right there at the base. It says push. Look at the bottom. And could you identify
Hello,
yourself?
tech guy.
And identify yourself, please.
My name is Chuck Siegel, and I live in South Burlington. I'm actually the president of the Homeowners Association at Glen Eagles Homeowners. And I know Elizabeth from there. And I was wondering, how do you get more people to show up to the meeting? You've got as many people sitting at the dais over here as you have from citizens from the city. Now, I know I face the same problem when we have our board meetings, but how do we get more people so they learn about what's going on?
That's a great question. Yeah. We ask ourselves that too sometimes.
Excuse me?
Is that all you have?
Yes, I'm just asking you all how you get more people to be
Great.
interested in what's going on in the city.
Great, thank you. So that's a comment you're making for something that's not on our agenda. So we don't really have discourse about it on this agenda item, unless it was something that was, more imperative. So
I thought you said you can make a comment that's...
you are making a comment. We just can't have discourse about it. That's
Okay.
all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Anybody online?
We do have 15 folks online.
Okay. Nobody's raising their hand. Anybody else in the audience want to speak about something? You're just standing up? Okay. All right. So we'll move on to item 6, which is approve the minutes from January 21st, 2026 steering committee meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
But Ann actually moved it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And then Lori seconds it. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
You're going to, so we have unanimous except for one abstention, which is Andrew. Okay, great. That's item 6. And then we have item 7, which is hold a public information session and public hearing on the city's FY 2027 budget, fire station building addition, and general obligation bond, and the ballot items with Jesse Baker, city manager.
Great. I'm going to steal your mic and get the presentation on. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here tonight. We do have about 15 folks online, and even though this is not a huge showing, we do appreciate you all coming to hear about the items you'll see on the ballot tomorrow. Before I jump in, I do also want to acknowledge that many of our state reps are here. Or I think all of our state reps are now in the room. So thank you all for being here. I also want to share that while I have the privilege of presenting tonight, this budget is really the result of a lot of work done by Martha Machar, our finance director, as well as the entire city leadership team, many of whom are here tonight. So I'm going to quickly call them out and thank them and recognize them for their work. Also, so members of the public know who's in the room in case you have questions for your leadership team here tonight. So with me tonight is Stephen Locke, our deputy city manager and fire chief, Martha Machar, our finance director, Colin McNeil, our city attorney, Bill Bro, our chief of police, Tom DePietro, our public works director, Paul Connor, our planning and zoning director, Bree Droppa, our library director, Adam Math, our recreation and parks director, Chris Corbin, our deputy fire chief, and Maddie Sousa, our HR manager. Did I miss anyone back there, guys? Oh, great. Thank you all for being here. These are really the folks who get the work done every day, and they are here if you have questions for them. So tonight I'm going to talk a little about our city government, what is funded with the items that will be on the ballot tomorrow, go into some detail about the FY27 budget, which is the primary item on the budget, along with the fire prevention facility bond vote that Chief Locke will present on, and then talk about some next steps. There are a fair amount of numbers on this presentation, so if you are on your phone or at home or viewing this tonight or tomorrow morning before you vote, and you want to go to South Burlington, vt.gov. There is a news story that has all of this information right on the homepage, so you can click through and see it there at your leisure. So your city government is about 195 employees. We are what I consider a full-service municipality in the state of Vermont. And what I mean by that is primarily that we provide police and fire service 24 hours a day. We also have lots of other services that the community has asked us to provide. We're represented by 3 labor groups, 3 bargaining groups. We have 8 city buildings and 11 parks and natural areas. We also have about 130 folks who volunteer their time every month to serve on a policy advising committee or statutory committee of the city. So this FY27 budget that you will consider tomorrow on town meeting day achieves 2 primary goals set by the city council during the discussion. So first and foremost, it continues our current level of service delivery while attending to affordability in the community. So when we started this conversation with the council back in September, they really said, we know that our neighbors are struggling. We want to attend to affordability, but we aren't interested in cutting core services. The core services the city is providing are critical to our residents, and we want to be sure we maintain those. So this budget maintains all of those services. It focuses on affordability by keeping the tax rate at inflation in August, which is what our collective bargaining agreement's key to. It uses a limited number of one-time funds to lower that impact on the property tax rate. It maintains our paving budget at $1.25 million, which was a significant increase that the council put into place last year, and are maintaining that. It also continues general fund allocations to our Community Justice Center and to our community outreach. The Community Justice Center is transitioning to Burlington oversight in this fiscal year, and those dollars in the general fund allow us to ensure we have the same level of service as we transition to Burlington to support. The second primary goal of the city councils during this budget process was to continue to make incremental change to some key policy initiatives the council took during FY25 and FY26. So in this budget, resources are also invested to implement our economic development strategic plan that was adopted unanimously in August. It includes additional resources to support vibrancy in city center and our city cemeteries. And it also funds stipends for folks serving on those policy boards and commissions to ensure that all our residents feel they have access to the policy tables in South Burlington. And council, feel free to jump in if I go past a point you want to highlight, as this is your budget. So all of those two goals lead us to our total city budget. So that proposed total city budget in FY27 is $58.5 million. Of that, $37.4 million is in our general fund, and of that, $23 million is what we are recommending to be raised by property taxes. So this is the very number-heavy side for those of us municipal data wonks who love the numbers behind things. So what this does is summarize where we are moving from FY26 to FY27 and the impact that will have on the community. So with this budget, with the two goals I outlined that the council set for us, we will see a 3.3% increase in the tax rate. That's a little under 2 pennies on the tax rate, 0.0178 to be exact. And for residents, what that means is, if approved, the average condo owner will pay about $54 additional next year, and the average homeowner will pay about $79 next year in their property tax bill. I do want to note some overall assumptions that went into building this budget, because I think it's important to understand what's driving costs in our community. So we are a growing community. We are growing very strategically aligned to the policy values of the council, where they have said they want to see growth as we protect the 51% of our community that is conserved. So we are estimating a 1.5% increase in the total grand list, with a 20% increase in the TIF grand list, which is here in City Center where you're sitting right now. This budget also includes all of our contractual obligations to our employees through our collective bargaining agreements. We are assuming a 10% increase in our health insurance premium, and we are seeing some significant increases in some of the partners we funded as well. Significantly, Green Mountain Transit, we're seeing a 6% increase in that. In this budget, we'll pay about $800,000 to support public transportation in our community, which is a linchpin service delivery to meet not only our climate goals, but to make sure we continue to be an affordable community that all people can live in and access the services and jobs they need. We've also focused very specifically on decreasing operational costs where we can, and updating how we fund our enterprise fund budgets. And we've been very aggressive with our non-property tax revenues, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Our capital budget, which is the budget that funds all of our stuff in the city, so all of our roads, sidewalks, water lines, wastewater lines, buildings, has been a focus of this council since I've been here for the last 5 years. The capital, we wanted to ensure that we were funding the capital budget at a level that not only allowed us to build new capital projects, build new shared use paths, redo roads, things like that, but also really focus on maintaining what we had. So for the last 5 years, we've tried to increase that budget each year. So this year, going into FY27, this budget includes a 4.3% increase in the general fund allocation to the capital budget. As I said in the beginning, the council, with their affordability goal, also wanted to think about ways we could very strategically use one-time funds to pay for one-time projects proposed in this budget. So you see here the 3 places where they allocated a total of $78,000 2 one-time projects for FY27. While that is not necessarily something the council wants to do regularly, use one-time funds to pay for costs, we do have healthy reserves in the city. So even with this very small allocation of one-time funds, we are still above our reserve fund policy of holding 16.6% of our operating cash on hand. So it felt like the council decided that it was a good investment of those dollars. So this is what in total your FY27 budget goes to fund. The critical point here is that about 2/3 of our budget funds police, fire, and public works. Those are our core service delivery areas, and the vast majority of our budget goes to fund those 3 areas. The other third goes to fund administration, libraries, parks and rec, city clerk, IT, finance, HR, and those partner organizations. And the city council, which is teeny tiny. Sliver, very small sliver. I also wanted to share with the community how the revenues are built into that general fund budget. So in South Burlington, we are fortunate in the state of Vermont to have a pretty diverse set of revenue streams coming to fund the city budget. So only 64% of our operating budget on the general fund is made up of property tax revenues. About 15% is our local options tax, and the rest is a variety of fees for service, ambulance revenue, permitting fees, items like that. Having said that, our enterprise fund budget, so our whole total city budget is that $58 million, $37 million of that is our general fund. The balance are primarily our enterprise fund budgets. Our enterprise funds are our water budget, our wastewater budget, stormwater budget, and our rental registry. These are really meant to operate unto themselves as small businesses. So your utility payments go to pay the costs associated with those funds. So these are still dollars our residents are paying, just not in their property tax bill, but in their utility bill. So these rates are also increasing into FY27. We had a lot of deferred capital maintenance in the last couple of years, and our labor and materials costs are going up significantly. So with these increases, the average utility payer will pay about $75 additionally next year. The huge caveat to that is 41% of our utility payers pay the minimum utility bill. If you are looking at your utility bill and you see that you are paying that minimum, that baseline charge, those folks, their bills will only go up about $40 next year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Flock to talk about the other item on your ballot this year, which is a $2.3 million bond vote to fund the construction of an addition at Fire Station 1.
Good evening. Yes, so question 3 on your ballot will be to authorize the borrowing of funds to put an addition to Fire Station 1 located on Dorset Street. Approximately 2 years ago, the council implemented a rental registry program that added staff. And at that time, we knew that space was going to be, we had limited space in our current buildings. And we have gotten to the point where now we just do not have the space. This is currently a photo. We have a temporary office trailer that staff works out of. And while in the shoulder seasons, it's conducive to working in there. Like this morning, it was extremely cold. It's very difficult to heat in the winter or cool in the summer. There are no bathrooms in there, no break room, and no place really to meet with the public for a team that meets quite a lot with the public. And it's really just not conducive to the workforce that we currently have. So we're proposing an addition to the north side of the fire station of about 2,300 square feet. It would allow all members of our prevention team. So in addition to the rental registry division, we have a fire marshal, assistant fire marshal, and electrical inspector. They would all be now under one roof. There is a lot of, I will say, cross-pollination between the people who are doing rental housing inspections, as well as the inspections of our commercial occupancies. And so putting all of that team together is better, and then also allows us for some growth. It will have its own bathrooms, in place for when contractors come in or the public comes in to meet with the team, that a space appropriate for that to happen. This is an aerial shot of what we're proposing. Again, this is just the early conceptual drawing, knowing about the square footage that we will need to have this completed. We worked with a professional engineering design firm on a conceptual plan and conceptual drawings, including the cost. They estimate it to be about $2.5 million, and that's we're proposing a bond not to exceed $2.3 million for 20 years, which gives you a debt payment of about $170,000 per year. Back in earlier this summer in July, the council approved the plan to implement a capital assessment fee, which is a small surcharge on all permits that are issued by the fire department. We anticipate looking at 10 years worth of permit data that will generate about $150,000 a year. And then with some the additional fund, because as Jesse has said, our rental registry division is an enterprise fund. Those revenues stay within that fund, and there are surplus revenues within that fund that will service that other $20,000 of debt. So this certainly should completely be paid for between the capital assessment fee and fees paid by the people who are registering their rental units. There has been some common questions that we have received, and I think it's important to speak to those. It's also important to note that the council pressed us on all these questions when we were bringing this plan to them. So luckily we were prepared for them because council grilled us pretty well on them. And the first is the cost per square foot. We certainly have heard that this is about $1,000 a square foot, and some people just think that seems to be excessive. So again, when we hired this out with a professional design firm, they then shopped it with 2 construction firms using professional estimators, and that's how this number of $1,000 a square foot was arrived at. So that was not us pulling a number out of the air. That was what was given to us by professionals who do this work. The next question is there available space in any city buildings, including 577, the current school department building? And the answer to that is no. We did a tour with the city council of the fire station to show them the space limitations we have, and we certainly had plenty of conversations with the school. They're busting at the seams within that building as well, so there is not capacity there. The question is, can we rent space? Could we rent space in another building, private office building? And while the answer to that is yes, you could, it is my professional recommendation that we don't do that. By and large, and what is happening is our operational folks, the people that respond to your emergencies and work in the field, are interacting with our prevention staff daily. Not having them in the same room or the same area takes away that team environment. And certainly you can do that with technology. And I travel fire stations around the world, and they're certainly broken apart in places. In small communities like this, there is a high value to those 2 teams working together. Additionally, some of our prevention folks are often can supplant as operational folks, and so they attend trainings. They're working with those people, and to have that split apart will makes that difficult. And finally, the people moving into the prevention are often people that have been in operations for a long time, and if you split those teams up, there will no longer be that career ladder to want to go in there. People are not going to want to, in this community, separate themselves. And I think for those reasons, when we expressed that to council, they agreed that there was a value to travel down this way. Again, the project is estimated to be $2.5 million. It will be competitively bid. We will put out an RFP for services, and we will only bond for what we need. So this question asks for not to exceed $2.3 million. If we do not need $2.3 million, we won't bond that. We'll only bond what we need. And I think that is the majority of the questions that we received. But again, later in the presentation, if anyone has any further questions, we'd gladly answer them.
So the final step on this presentation is to remind everyone that you are right now here in the auditorium, attending the public hearing, and tomorrow is town meeting day. Polls will be open from 7 to 7. A huge thanks to our city clerk and our election workers for facilitating what I anticipate to be a very smooth day. If you are still curious about where your polling place is, you can go to our website and type your address into this interactive GIS map. And it will tell you with a picture exactly where you are going to vote. And just while I have you thinking about upcoming elections, we do have a primary this year and a general election. If you are interested in receiving mail-in ballots for those, you can request those at any time using this form that is on the clerk's website. And with that, I will let the chair move to the hearing part of this.
Thank you, Jesse. And just one reminder, if anybody is holding absentee ballots at home that they filled out and they've sealed and signed the envelope, it's pretty much too late. Just bring them to the polling location tomorrow and you'll be allowed to vote them. No problem at all. Just come to the sign-in table. So thank you, Jesse, for...
You should hear from both.
Oh, so are there comments from the public about the city budget presentation tonight? Anybody online?
So should we move to open the public hearing?
Oh, do we have to move that? Okay, can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Move to open the public hearing?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Now in public hearing, so if we have a comment, please come down to the podium. Remember to make the green light turn on at the base of the tall black microphone and identify yourself.
Hi, everyone. Matthew Vigneault. Thank you all for your hard work on this budget. I'm just curious, this is mostly a question for Jesse, but other folks can jump in on it as well. If you've been in touch with your colleagues in other cities and towns in the county about how we can pool our resources to try to regionalize services and make things more efficient. I don't have any really specific things in mind, but it's something that I'm curious about.
Well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
you like to
Well, no, I'll just say there have been some discussions with the town of Shelburne so far. They're just in the beginning period of that, and there are some savings to be derived. There are other older discussions that started years ago about consolidating dispatch for fire and police, and those might wake up again and become more important in the future. So we are looking at that. And I think that the schools that's pretty important too. You might want to come back and ask that question during their public hearing, right? So yeah, there is interest because I mean, all of these towns or cities have constraints with budgets, especially for specific types of services where, the size of the town doesn't really, mean that they should, have that many people in the department or whatever. So, yeah. So yes, you're right. Good idea.
Great. Thank you, Devin. Thank you all.
Any other comments? Did you want to add anything to that at all? No? Okay. Anybody online? Come on, folks. It's the night before the election. There must be some burning questions out there about the city budget. Okay. Well, going once, going twice. All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
So moved. No, I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. That public hearing is closed. We're now going to go to item 8, which is hold a public information session and public hearing on the school district's FY 2027 budget and ballot items with Dr. Joe Clark, Superintendent of the Schools. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. So this is the budget proposal for fiscal year 27. As I have said hundreds of times now, I'm new to Vermont and I'm learning a lot, and I can't express my gratitude enough for Jessie and her team for all the support you've given to me and my less experienced team as we made our way as a team together through this first budgeting process. So thank you so much. I really am grateful for our partnership and look for great things to come. Thank you. So let's jump into the fiscal year 27 budget proposal. the school district's budget this year, fiscal year 26, is about $71 million. And to make no changes at all to the programs that we're offering, we would have needed to come in with a budget at about $76 million. The board, in their wisdom, thought that that would be far too excessive to ask for the community to support. Instead, they approved putting a budget on the ballot that would be at a rate of increase approximately equal to inflation at 3.4%. So that would increase our budget to almost $74 million. Now, so when you look at the difference between what it would have taken to not make any changes at all at 76 million and what it would be to have this 3.4% increase at 74 million, we are looking at about $2 million in reductions that we needed to make. I think sometimes when people come in with fresh eyes, that's a good thing because you see things that maybe hadn't been seen in the past. And so we were able, my team and I, to come up with reductions at the district level of almost $1.9 million, $1.8 million of reductions of things that we could save that would not have impact on our students. Period. Well, not period. I guess maybe a semicolon, because there is a cut to a nurse that I will talk about in a little bit, and we were able to keep our building reductions to 1 FTE, which is also a nurse. So, and I'll talk about these in 1 second. What you'll see, though, is that with this 3.4% budget increase, that approximates, again, initially based on the December 1st letter from the state, to about an 8.76% increase on the school taxes. Now, what we know is that is typically not common. That whatever number is discussed at the beginning of the budget process changes. Why? Because the yield comes in lower, which is what I'm hearing coming out of Vermont, Montpelier. I think that we know about the governor's $115 million that he wants to use to buy down some of these costs. So we don't know what that school tax increase will be, but for the worst case scenarios, you can expect it to be about 8.76%. So what are these reductions that we've talked about? Well, I'm really proud to say that that we are making significant reductions at the central office administrative level. Namely, we have a communications director position that will not be filled. We have a technology director position that will not be filled. And we have one additional central office leadership team that had a TBD, but that has now been determined and has been announced that we have our director of student support services position will not be filled. So if you were to look at our team meeting table at the beginning of the year, you would have seen 8 administrators sitting around it. If you were to come, actually right now, you would see 5 because of various stages of people leaving, and that's what you'll see next year. So almost a 50% cut in the administrative at the highest level leadership at the district office. And I hear some people, with some concerns about that. I can tell you, just with my experience working in districts of different sizes, that is an appropriate size. It's leaner, it's meaner, it's fewer cooks in the kitchen, and it helps us really make some needed changes that we need. So we also were able to make reductions in money that had been budgeted maybe for years, but had never been spent. For example, this is an example, but it's not a true example. Just to paint the picture, pretend that we would typically budget $100,000 a year for school supplies, but we would never spend $100,000. We'd spend $50,000. Yet it would always be budgeted $100,000. We are truing up our budgets so we made reductions in that way. And then additionally, the 2 real people that will have impact on our kids are the district nurse and a nurse that has shared time between the middle school and the high school. So our district nurse works in the district office, but she does spend time in the buildings working in the clinics. Our middle school and high school, there are currently 4 nurses between those 2 buildings, there will be 3 nurses. You may have heard concerns about the nursing, and our nurses do outstanding work. They do really, really great things for our kids. The state talks about you should look for a ratio of 500 students per nurse. With our 2,400 students in our district, we should have about 5 school nurses, and we have 8. We're going to reduce that to 6, so we'll still be above the minimum. Thank you. So when you look at the numbers, you will see that our fiscal year 26 budget is $71.5 million. Fiscal year 27 budget is $74 million. That is a 3.4% increase. What I really want to draw your attention to on this slide, number 5, is the weighted pupil. We are getting less funding from the state, and that's because our weighted pupil count is going down. Now, that is not to say that our actual pupil count is going down. It wavers 10 students up or down each year, but you'll see this is rather significant. This is about 140 weighted pupil difference. A weighted pupil is a pupil that has some sort of significant need, either a disability, they're in poverty, they speak English as a second language, whatever that might be. So as we have fewer students who qualify under those parameters, that reduces our funding from the state level. Our belief is that the majority of those students are students who are no longer qualifying for free and reduced lunch. Now, I should say that we don't believe that our poverty level is going down. What we do know is that we provide free breakfast and lunch for all of our students every day. And because of that, there's less incentive for families to fill out the free and reduced lunch form that gets calculated when you look at weighted pupil. So we need to do a better job encouraging all of our families, whether they believe they would qualify for free and reduced lunch or not, whether they already eat the free lunch that's provided every day, to fill out the form, because that form, the higher our poverty level, the more aid we get from the federal government and the state government. And we think that's where that issue comes from, that we're seeing the reduction there in our weighted pupils. So you will see at the line that's important to me is down at the bottom, number 24 in the green. That's where the 8.67% change comes. Right now, we're at a 1.5713 in the homestead rate, and that is projected to go to 1.7076. Of course, not considering the reductions that we expect to happen, but for to be as conservative as you would like to be, expect an 8.67% increase when you go to the ballot and vote on this this budget. So that's the first item we have on the ballot. The second item is this. We have an unassigned fund balance of over $2.5 million. That came from the fiscal year 2025 that was recently audited in the fall of 2026. So what does that mean? That means that we either raised more money than we anticipated, spent less money than we anticipated, or a combination of both. And by law, we are not allowed to use that money except for a few things, and those require the voters to approve it. What our board has decided to ask the voters to approve, and I think this is a very wise decision, is to take that $2.5 million and put that into a special fund for capital improvements and reserves. We currently, as you know, we have aging buildings. We do not have a significant capital improvement reserve fund, and we definitely have needs. To put this money into a capital improvement fund it would relieve the general fund of other expenses, right? So instead of using general fund money to pay for a hood that we need in our kitchen at the cafeteria, we could use the fund balance in the reserve fund for capital improvements to do that. the thing about a capital improvement fund is that money can only be spent with board approval. So not only would the voters need to approve to put this money into the account, but whenever we wanted to spend some of that, the board would need to make that decision that we're going to approve that. So it would not be a Joe and Jean Marie rainy day. Let's put up a bike rack or whatever. It would be what are our significant needs, come to the board and get their approval. Oh, you're fine. Thank you. So those are our proposals tomorrow. A 3.4% budget increase that still caused us to cut $2 million in expenses. The vast majority of that at central office and a big portion of that with the administration at the central office. And we're going to ask the voters to approve putting that unassigned fund balance from FY25 into a capital improvement reserve fund. Now, our board has also had more discussions about what if it fails? What if this budget fails? Because it's no secret, this board was not unanimous on putting this budget before the voters. There was significant discussion about the proposed tax increase, and a portion of the board wanted the budget to be even less. They wanted it to be a 0%, a flat budget. And what they've said is, if this fails, if the 3.4% fails, we are going to look at what we put on next. And of course, they can't pre-vote what they're going to do, but they've made it very clear that they intend to consider putting a 0% budget on the ballot if the budget at 3.4% fails tomorrow. So again, they can change their mind on that, but it's something that they spoke about. So we've been preparing for that internally. And so what I want to show you is what that might look like if the 3.4% proposal fails, what a 0% budget would look like. And what you can see is, again, the 3.4% budget would be about a $74 million budget. The 0% is what we're spending this year, $71.5 million. The increase would be 3.4% for a 3.4% proposal. The increase for a 0% budget would be 0%. That all makes sense. This doesn't make as much sense to me as a 0% budget would still cause your property taxes to go up, because we're a wealthy district and we tend to pay more in our community to support districts of poverty throughout the state. So even a 0% budget where we would need to make significant reductions will cause your taxes to go up. So with the 3.4% proposal, we're looking about two nurses, right? Those are the folks who work in our district that have direct impact on students that will be reduced. If that fails, and if we go to a 0% budget, we'll still be cutting those 2 nurses, but there will be an additional 13 teachers that we would need to cut throughout the district. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means on the next slide. So with a 3.4% budget, we're going to maintain, again, just about all of our programming that we have right now will maintain status quo. If it fails, if the 3.4% fails and we go to a 0%, our class sizes will necessarily increase at the elementary level, because we will have teacher reductions at the elementary level. Middle school, we're going to reduce some of the nursing anyway. If the budget fails tomorrow and we go back with a 0%, that will mean reducing art classes, music classes, world language classes, and our technology education program at the middle school. At the high school, we've already seen that we are going to reduce a third of a nursing position, and some of our sections of courses are going to be adjusted. We're still going to be able to offer our core programs, but we'll adjust some of those courses that maybe we don't have completely full. However, if the budget fails tomorrow and we come back with a 0% budget, we're going to be looking at 10 fewer science classes, 5 fewer math classes, 5 fewer English classes, and some performing arts classes reduced at our high school. Next slide. We're going to have nursing and leadership reductions no matter what. We are not going to, we we are cutting the administrative team at the central office because we believe that is the most efficient thing to do. And I trust that my team has the skills to operate very effectively with fewer positions. And you can, again, you'll see what those positions are. Communications director. I'm hoping that what you've seen in our time in the last few months is much better communication coming from the district. And we have not had a communications director in the seat for several months. I hope you're seeing that. Technology director, director of student support services, and the district nurse lead. And then we'll have additional reductions if the 0% fails. And then again, the tax impact. Right now, the most conservative projection is an 8.76% increase. If we put a 0% budget, your taxes, I can say this probably more confidently than I could say anything else. Your taxes will go up even if you don't give, even if the community does not give any more money to the schools because of the way Vermont funds its schools. Is that the last slide? Nope. This is a very beautiful graphic put together by our friends with artificial intelligence, who puts all of that, what I just said, in a nice little picture. And I was reminded, actually, Jean Marie and I were reminded at this, we went to the Black Experience show on Saturday night, and Ibram Kendi reminded us that it's not really artificial intelligence. This is human intelligence, right? Because it is taking, AI is taking information that is produced by humans. So take that for what it's worth, but you can see what we're looking at with our budget proposal tomorrow, and our suggestion that you take that $2.5 million unreserved balance or unassigned balance and put it in a capital reserve fund, and allow us to keep the reductions that we've made at the central office level only, and not cause us to have to go into classrooms. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. So now we need to open a public hearing on the school budget. So can I have a motion to open that public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, hold on a second. We're going to open the public hearing for that right now. Just hold on. So we have a motion. We have a second. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do you have any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. So now we're open for public hearing to give feedback to the school board on this budget. Remember to identify yourself again.
All right, at least I learned how to put the.
Is the light on? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Just say it again.
Can you hear me?
You're still not on. Push the button again.
All right, now we got it.
Yes.
Okay, can you put up the last screen, sir, so I can have that as a reference?
I cannot, but Jesse can.
Okay, now keep in mind that the question I'm asking are based on calculations I did in my head. And so some of these calculations may be wrong. Now, what you said is your actual spending was about 2.5%, 3% less than what you budgeted for. Am I correct? In 25. You said you had like $2.5 million that you didn't spend.
In fiscal year 25, there was a fund balance of $2.5 million.
Okay.
Yes.
But you're increasing this year by the same amount. That means you're really going up $6 million. Because if you had a flat budget and you said, okay, we're going to take 25 and we're going to use that to start off with, then we're going to put our increases in that we have in health or whatever else, healthcare, then you'd only be needing $2 or $3 million because you've saved last year. So you didn't actually have to increase this year by that amount.
So you can do two things with an unreserved or with
No, I don't talk about the unreserved. I'm talking about the fact you saved $2.5 million last year. So when you started your budget process this year, why didn't you say, all right, we didn't actually spend $74 million last year, right? We actually spent 71.5 or whatever it was. So therefore, let's start at that point and then add in the increases that we have, which means you'd have only $2.5 million approximately of increases. But in essence, you're putting twice as much as that because you're not taking into consideration you saved money last year.
Any unassigned balance from a previous year cannot be moved into the next year's budget without board approval.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm saying you take your actual spending in 2025, and that's the starting point of your budget. And then you add on top of that all of your additional costs, because you don't need to basically say we didn't spend the money. That's not irrelevant in your budgeting.
Well, I'll remind you, this is from fiscal year 25.
Yeah.
And this is fiscal year 26. We will not have the audit of this until the fall. So
Do you see what I'm saying?
not really.
Well, if I was doing a budget, I take a look at what I actually spent in the year ending, and I say, all right, that's what I actually spent. Now I need to look at my increases. So because last year's budget was what, the 70, that's not up there, right? It was 70,
This year's budget is 71.5 million.
25.
No, 26.
Okay, what was it in 25?
Sir, I've been here since January.
Okay. I don't know what you spent, but I'm just saying it seems to me that you didn't take into consideration that you didn't need all the money that you budgeted for your expenditures, because you saved $2.5 million. I'm not talking about what you do with that $2.5 million, but you were $2.5 million less on the bottom line expenditures versus your budget.
Well, I
Is
think
that
what
correct?
I think what the superintendent said was, for example, with supplies, if we spent 100,000, or if we budgeted 100,000, but we only spent 50, rather than carrying forward the 100,000, it was trued up. So I understand that there was a significant process of truing up the budget to actual expenditure.
I guess I'm not making my point.
But we've made about $2 million in reductions without impacting the student experience.
Right, but that's my point is that's where your starting point on budgeting should have been, is the fact of your actual expenditures in last year starting out this year. Then you
I
add in
think-
your additional costs.
Part of the other thing to consider is I don't think anybody at the table right now knows what was not spent or what additional revenues were available in 2024 in fiscal year 2025, which was 2024. So we're not able to answer your question specifically about,
How can you do a budget then?
well, I'm
At
just
the
saying
end
at
of
the
the year, you
table, we
have
don't
the-
know what that was.
In a business, at the end of the year, you know how much money you spent and basically whether you lost money or you made money. And you're saying that the school budget doesn't work that way?
I'm saying that the question you're asking is valid. Where did that 2.5 million come from? I think that is a valid question, and it was from a couple years ago, and that's I think it's a valid question. We can get
Okay.
back to you about that.
Well, leave it as a valid question. My next thing is, if my math is right, and again, I'm doing it top of my head, that means you're spending $30,000 per pupil. $30,000 per pupil. Huh?
Yeah.
The
So
average is $15,000, and you're spending $30,000. And I don't know what that means as far as the quality of education, meaning are you getting a good return on investment for that on your testing? But $30,000 per pupil? That sounds outrageous, to be honest with you. So I'll leave it like that. I don't know how you justify $30,000 per pupil.
Yeah, that's not accurate either. I can't.
It's not
again,
accurate?
It's not
Well, the
accurate.
math is here. You got 2,400 students and you're spending $74,000.
Okay, so the way the state calculates per pupil expenditure is by weighted pupil, not by student count. So yes, we have about 2,400 students. Remember, our weighted pupil is about 4,000 students. So do that divisor, and you'll find that we are one of the lowest per student or per weighted student expenditure in the area.
I don't understand how you do that, but it's magic math. But I'm just saying that's what it comes out to be.
It's
If you
not
take-
magic math.
Well, that's
sir.
what it comes out. If you
It's
take
law,
the total
state
amount of
law.
money you're spending and the total amount of students you have, it's $30,000. Thank you for your time.
Capital improvement, right? I mean, we can't, we have, like, the high school is the 11th worst building in the state. The thing is, it's not a business, it's education.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Is anybody online? Let's hold on a second. Let's see if who's online.
Can you ask them to raise their hand if you were interested in speaking?
Nobody's raised their hand? Okay. So, yeah, come on down. And you have to identify yourself again, please.
Hi, everyone. Matthew Vigneault again. Thank you, Dr. Clark, for that presentation. That was very enlightening, and thank you for presenting a budget that hits our students least. Looking at the proposed reductions for the level-funded budget, like, I'm a recent graduate of South Burlington Public Schools. I profited greatly by just about everything that's potentially on the chopping block if this fails. I know there are parents of folks I went to school with in here who tell you the same thing. I'm curious for members of the board who voted against the budget that we're voting on tomorrow, what would you have cut? Like, what else would you have cut for this round?
I can perhaps speak for those of us who voted against the budget. I think that what cuts are made is it's an operational question, and I'm not an educational administrator. I don't know the right way to build a budget, so that would be a question for Joe, and that's what he's prepared for. So our vote tomorrow is something where we're not sure what's going to happen, but if it does go down, we're prepared for what happens next.
Okay, so if you could wave a magic wand, the level funded budget would be the budget that we'd be voting on tomorrow.
I'm gonna let that be up at the discretion of the voters.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the rationale, but I appreciate your time and all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Other comments from the audience? Still nobody online?
I mean, 18 people online, but nobody's raising
Yeah.
their hand.
Good turnout online. Yeah. No other questions, folks? It's a public hearing. You're voting tomorrow. Or you already voted. Going once, going twice. So I guess, yep. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. So it's unanimous again. So that hearing is closed. And we're on to item 9, which is other business. Does the steering committee have any other business? Mr. Smith, Counselor Smith.
Yes, I just have one other piece of business. I want to thank Ann Pugh for filling in for the city council for a seat that was vacated, and doing the work of trying to keep us afloat and working in the right direction, and thank her for that. And I also want to thank everybody who has stepped forward to run for election this year. It's a big ask. It's a big step, and we've got a lot of really dedicated people in our town, and I appreciate that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. And thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.
And you can come back anytime or join us online and be our ceremonial counselor behind the scenes. And you just can't vote. That's all. Yeah. Did you have any closing words that you wanted to? This is Ann's last meeting, if you did.
I think I want to say thank you. Thank you to the community. Thank you to the council. This has been an incredible honor. Thank you for putting your faith in me. I mean, there were 6 really, qualified people who said, we want to take this seat. And I really appreciate your trust in me, and I hope that I have fulfilled that. I can't believe how hard you all work. Having been a legislator for 30 years, I thought that I knew what hard work was, and I did, but this is a different kind of work. And I became an adult in South Burlington, and this has been really wonderful. And I just want to say to people, 22% of you voted last November. We can do better. And so please, while I hope you vote for what we've put forward, more importantly, please vote, because it does make a difference. And so just thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ann. Appreciate it. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Good luck to all the candidates tomorrow. Good luck to all the questions on the ballot. Good luck to the city and the school. And let's all turn out and please come and vote. Thank you.